everyone, this is Alex, and okay, so unfortunately, I had a whole plan of Halloween videos to do, but again, really busy, and I can't seem to find the time right now. So basically, this is going to be my main Halloween one, and then I'm going to do possibly another video in the month of October, so sorry we don't get a traditional Halloween one, but oh well. So I thought, because last year I did a top 10 on Tim Burton films, I thought, okay, let's do another top 10 on Tim Burton films. And this one, after seeing his latest film, it got me thinking about his female characters. And I thought, you know what? It's strange that I haven't done a top 10 list on his female characters. So for this top 10 we're going to be looking at his leading ladies, the ones that I find the most interesting, the most fascinating, you know, the characters that I would usually think of when I hear Tim Burton. So here we go. Now again, you're gonna probably hear me say this a lot in this video, which is not judging a book by its cover. That's definitely a saying that you would say with Tim Burton films anyway. But Katrina Van Tassel I always find is a good example of that. When you meet her and just the way that she comes across, she's very fair looking, she's very beautiful, she's, you know, like I said, she's very fair, she's got the blonde hair, she wears a lot of palish, you know, costumes and stuff. But, you know what? She's into the supernatural. Because a girl that looks like that, sure, that suits her personality. But this is another thing that I love about his characters, is that they are not what they seem. And that's what people are. And I think Katrina in Sleepy Hollow, I think that's why she becomes like the most fascinating to Ichabod and what draws him to her, I think. I mean, I might be wrong, but you know. But I think it's just that, just the fact that she seems very different from what she appears to be, and but it's not so fair that she is very sweet as well and things like that, but it's just that interest in that supernatural, and that she seems to know a lot about like the history of Sleepy Hollow and like her family and everything like that. And you know, I think the best way to describe it is, take the scene in the church, and I won't give away too much, but basically there's a point where Katrina passes out, and there's this long shot of her just lying on the floor, and suddenly it comes to a supernatural symbol that relates to her, and so it's that wide shot of that great contrast. I think that's the best way to describe her. I mean, that's what I get out of that scene. I don't know what you guys get out of it, but that's what I get. So good shot, movie, good shot. So yeah. Okay, a lot of people seem to really love Lydia Deetz from Beetlejuice, and I don't blame them. She is a very funny yet emotional character, and but then I got to thinking, why is it that so many people like really like her? Like, you know, just I don't know, every time I mention Beetlejuice, like, Beetlejuice is usually the character that would come up, but the other character would be Lydia, and so that had me thinking, and of course I love her as well, so I was thinking, okay, what is it that everyone likes about her? And I think what makes her so likable is because I think with, you know, a film like Beetlejuice that's such a crazy, you know, mad kind of, you know, like, amazing, this kind of movie, which is great. Lydia is kind of that grounding for it. She's the emotional center, really, and you know, and this goes to how the Maitlands see her and all that sort of thing. And I think, you know, but at the same time that she's really, really funny, and she still provides a lot of humor as well. And so I think because of that emotional center and that grounding that she brings, I think that's why a lot of people seem to connect to her a lot more than, say, other characters. So I think that's the reason. So, but tell me what you like about her. I'd love to know. Alright, another Winona Ryder character, this time from my favourite film, Edward Scissorhands. Okay, a lot of people would look at this character and think she's just the love interest, she's just the beauty who falls with the beast. Okay, yeah, blah 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 blah. But again, and I mentioned this in my Edward Scissorhands review, is that she is the character that changes. She is the character that develops. She's the one who transforms and becomes better because of Edward. So, and I just love that sort of that gradual, excuse me, that gradual change that she sort of kind of starts to accept him in some ways, and then when things kept getting worse and worse, it brings them closer, and I really, really like that. And I think she sort of, you know, realizes the error of her ways and where she might be going, and the, you know, where and then where she's ended up now. And so I think she's the best example of what Edward is sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, she's the example of what Edward can have an effect on you, and so I think we as the audience are Kim to some degree, and so maybe that's why I like her very much, and so I think it's hard not to put her on this list, so there you go. Yes, this is another Tim Burton character that a lot of people seem to love, and I absolutely love her, but I think the reason why I love her is more on a personal level, considering my introduction to Corpse Bride. Because when I first saw Corpse Bride, I had no idea who Tim Burton was. I had no idea of his other work. The only other film I'd seen was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but didn't know who he was. So, so looking back now, Corpse Bride is definitely that best example that I have of, you know, thinking, I thought I was walking into some kind of ghost story, and that, you know, Emily was going to be, you know, the scary character that you're supposed to be afraid of. No. No. How wrong was I? And I think that's the best example of, I think she's a great example of Tim Burton films in general, is that, you know, you think she's going to be one thing, and then, you know, she ends up being this very sweet, funny, full of life, despite the fact that she's a corpse, you know, kind of character, and she's just so sweet and just so, oh God, you just can't help but love her. And I just, you know, and I think that comes down from, you know, the voice acting of Helen Bonham Carter and the stop motion animation on her, and I think, you know, I think she's beautiful in her own way, despite the fact that she's dead. And, you know, it comes to that point where I completely forgot that she was dead, because all I was seeing was the character and the person that she was. And again, that is what Tim Burton characters do. And so, you know, I think Emily is just such a great example of that, and she is so hard not to like, and can't really say more than that. Okay, so again, much like Corpse Bride, Alice in Wonderland was just came out around the time when I started to become a Tim Burton fan. I'd seen Edward Scissorhands a month before, and I was like, oh my god, who is this guy who invented this character? And I was like, oh, and he not only created him, but he directed the film, what else has he done? And then I was like, oh, he's doing a new Alice in Wonderland film? Yes! And so I was very hyped to see this film. And it did not disappoint. And but the thing that I was mainly nervous about, because I knew that it was going to be a story involving an older Alice, and so I was thinking to myself, and of course I didn't know who Mia Wasikowska was. I might be pronouncing her surname wrong, so forgive me if I do, but you know, I don't think any of us really knew who she was, and so I think she was quite a newcomer at that time, and I think Alice in Wonderland pretty much kind of launched her career in some respect. But so I really had no idea what to expect, but I think what I loved about her is that she really represented that awkward stage that all of us go through at some point, where you want to be a grown-up but people see you as a child, or you want to still remain a child but people expect you to be an adult, and it's kind of like, what do you want me to be? Like, and you go through that stage of like, yeah, who am I? You know, what is my purpose in life? That kind of thing. And she really does go through that. And I think, and again, that does tie into Alice in Wonderland. I cannot stress this enough, because in the book, the source material, it is eventually halfway through the book, Alice chooses her own path and she starts to adapt to how things work, and this is what happens in the film. So, you know, and it's like, I cannot stress that enough. It does pay respects to the book. So I'm sorry, I'm sort of going on a little defense mechanism there, but I think I really felt like Mia just got that sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like when I watch her, it's like, you know, I love that she does it very quietly. She does it very kind of, you know, I love the fact that she is quiet, because other variations of Alice never shut up, and I don't like that. So I like the fact that she is quiet, but she sort of, you know, throughout the film, she's always trying to wonder, like, you know, what am I doing? Because even in Wonderland, she has no idea what she's doing. Everyone's telling her that, oh, you've got to slay the Jabberwock, and she's like, what? Huh? And what? And it's just, you know, and it's just like, well, what exactly do you want me to do? Ah! You know, and she really represented that just awkward age of, you're just trying to find out who you are, where you belong, and that kind of thing. And I think she captured it beautifully. So well done, Mia. Oh yes, how can you have a top 10 list without, a top 10 Tim Burton leading lady list without mentioning Mrs. Lovett? Come on. Yeah, Mrs. Lovett, absolutely loved her. Like, the first moment I saw her, when I saw Sweeney Todd again. Sweeney Todd was a movie, actually, Sweeney Todd was a movie that I really wanted to go and see before I even knew who Tim Burton was. And because, you know, and I wasn't 18 at the time, so I couldn't go and see it, but I tried to sneak in anyway, and it didn't work. So, you know, this was a movie that I really wanted to see, and when I did see it, absolutely loved it, and Mrs. Lovett is definitely a main reason why. Because, in fact, actually, there's a Tim Burton quote where he says that it should have just been called The Mrs. Lovett Show, because she is the character that pretty much everyone feels for. And it's true, I mean, yeah. I think she is the character that a lot of people feel the most for and have the most sympathy for, and I was trying to work out like what it was about. I mean, it could be the fact that she was given more songs or something, but I think the best way that I can describe it is the whole by the sea sequence. You know, it's probably like the brightest and, you know, sequence of the whole film, and then, you know, Mrs. Lovett's fantasizing about her life with Sweeney, but every time you look at Sweeney, he's just got that blank expression on that face. And it's like, it's funny, but it's also tragic at the same time. It's like, yeah, it's sort of reminding you that this is a fantasy. It's like, well, I mean, the color scheme kind of does it as well. It's like, it is a fantasy, but Sweeney Todd's face kind of represents the reality of the situation. It's just it's just something that can never happen. And I think so. Every time I watch that sequence, it's like, yeah, it's funny, and I do laugh at it. But at the same time, there is that hint of tragedy and that kind of, you know, that longing to be with him, but you know it's not going to happen. And so I think that's the best example that I can give of why we love her. So. And just those tiny little moments, like, you know, when she's asking him about, you know, like, do you remember what your wife looks like, and, you know, and then contrast to, nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. And so, you know, it's sort of like, these are the words that she wants Mr. T to say to her, but it's not. And so it's like, yeah, it's a very sweet scene and everything, but it's also tragic as well. And so I think with every scene that she's in, it seems to be, you know, funny and, you know, but there's always that hint of tragedy, and I think that's why a lot of people feel for her. I mean, that's what I get when I watch the film. I don't know about any of you lot, but yeah. best thing that I can say about Margaret Keane is really it just comes down to Amy Adams' performance, and I think there were times when, you know, Amy Adams is an actress that, you know, I've seen a few of her movies, and so I can tell, like, who she is and stuff, and so when you have a very well-known actor or actress, and it's like sort of sometimes people find it very hard to kind of separate them from the actress to the character, but in Big Eyes, there was a point where I was like, yeah, I can't see Amy Adams anymore. Like, no, she's gone. Like, all I'm seeing is Margaret Keane, and so she wasn't nominated for an Oscar. I don't get it. And you know, I just, it mainly came through in her silent acting. I mean, like, just the expressions. Like, I mean, I remember, I think it happened. I think I sort of was thinking that when I saw when she was trying to change the style of her painting and whatever, and she's just kind of, you know, standing back looking at it, and just the way that she looks at it, and the way that, you know, I think, you know, apparently she spent a whole day with the real Margaret Keane and sort of like concentrated on how, like, she would paint and how she would focus, and she really got that. Like, you can see that concentration and that passion for it in that very quiet way, and I absolutely love that. And you know, I loved that she played it in a very, you know, in a sad way, but also not quite like, oh, I'm the victim here, you know. It's like, you know, she does try to make it look like, you know, she is part of the blame, and, you know, she does realize that it's like, oh, I shouldn't have let this lie go on, instead of just making it look like she's just a pure victim, plain and simple. It's really hard to describe. It's like, you just have to watch a performance to see where I'm coming from. So, I mean, it completely took me by surprise, and why she was never nominated for an Oscar, I'll never understand, especially when Keira Knightley was nominated. I'll never let that slide. But, you know, it's, just watch it, and just watch her performance. Oh, yes. This is a character that a lot of people love. Even if they have no idea who Tim Burton is and just love Nightmare Before Christmas, they love Sally. And I love Sally. I absolutely adore her. But I was, again, much like Lydia, I was kind of thinking to myself, what is it about her that everyone just really loves? Because, I mean, when I talk about, like, you know, if I do mention Nightmare Before Christmas, they're always like, oh, I love Sally, I love Jack, but I really love Sally, and it's like, okay, what is it about her that, you know, everyone loves about her? Okay, so I'm just gonna base this on my personal thing. Okay, first off, I love her design. I love her design. I love that, you know, the theme of stitching, and stitching is definitely a theme in Tim Burton's drawings and his movies as well. And I think, but I love it that they sort of play it. It's kind of both a tragic but kind of nice ways, and, you know, she can put herself back together and she's fine, but it also makes it tragic as well that she's not fully together, and so, you know, absolutely love that. And I love her design. I love it. And I think one of the things I love about her character especially is the fact that she cares so much about Jack. I mean, that whole sequence when, you know, with Jack's lament, and she's like, oh, I know how you feel, I know how you feel, and it's just like, yeah, you know what? I think she does. And it's like, I mean, she's the only one who really tries to kind of sympathize with him and care for him, and sort of, and, you know, and try to warn him about what might happen if he does Christmas, because she knows it's going to end in disaster. But, you know, and she's very intelligent, you know, she does try to find ways to stop him and, you know, try and run away from the doctor and stuff, so she's very smart. And, you know, despite the fact that she is in stitches, she is very beautiful as well, so I won't argue with that. But I think it's just that level of care and that she has, and, you know, that's what makes me love them so much as a couple. So, like, when you get that scene at the end and it's just, oh, gives you just this warm, fuzzy feeling, and I love those two, I love Sally, and it's just, every time I see the ending of that movie, I just have a great big smile on my face, and it's like, well, as the song says, they are simply meant to be. So, there you go. Okay, so again, this is going back to personal introductions to it. So when I learned that Tim Burton had directed the first two Batman movies, at that point I was sort of I wasn't really into comic books. I was not really a comic book person. But oh my god, did Batman change it for me. This is when I started to realize this is why people love comic books. And Catwoman was definitely the best example I could give, because I never knew that a comic book character could be so complex and complicated and pretty much screwed up and, you know, kind of interesting and fascinating. Like, this is what made me more aware of, aha, this is why people love reading Batman, this is why they like the comic books, this is why they like the movies. I get it. And Catwoman is definitely an example, and I love, I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer's performance, I mean, she is the definitive Catwoman. No mistaken. And I don't know how to explain it, it's like you have to watch it in order to understand it, but it's just that sort of, you know, she's, you know, at the very start she's very repressed and she's very cowardly-like, and I love the fact that you don't even see, I mean, like, she's in the shot for like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, and you don't even realize that she's gonna be the main character, and when they say her name's Selena Kyle, you're like, oh, that's Catwoman? But she was in the background, and it's kind of like, love that idea, love that. So, and then of course she does become a main player, and I just love the chemistry between her and Bruce Wayne. I sort of love that love-hate thing going on, like when they're in their different personas and stuff, and it's just, you know, just that sudden switch that she has, and it's brilliant, and I love her breaking point at the end, and it's just, it's so hard to explain, you have to watch it in order to understand it. I'm probably going to be saying that a lot, but it's true. Okay, so now on to my number one favorite Tim Burton leading lady. Let's have a look. A lot of people are probably going to say, you're probably saying that just because the film's just come out. No. Well, first off, I loved the design of the character. I loved how, you know, they really concentrated on making her look more, you know, very bird-like, but also kind of a sort of, as they put it, a scary Poppins. And it's true. She is scary. Like, I remember, like, what is it? Like, she stands up at the table, she goes in and tries to answer the phone, and like the kids are saying, oh, come on, you know, like, and she like just turns to them, and I was just, like, literally in the cinema I was just kind of like, leaning back. I was like, please don't hurt me. She just has that stare, I mean, oh god, Eva Green's so good at that. And but she also does it in a very funny way as well, and I think, you know, she has that good balance of scariness and funny, but also emotion as well. I mean, I've already talked about this in my Miss Peregrine review, but the reason why I put her at number one is because she is the guardian of peculiar children. Children who are miscast because they're different and, you know, sort of not mundane and sort of do things in unusual ways. And isn't that pretty much Tim Burton characters? Pretty much Tim Burton characters are peculiar. And so when you have this figure that is, you know, in charge of looking after them, guarding them, protecting them, there's something about that idea that just makes her number one to me. It's like, can you just imagine, like, a whole house with not just the peculiar children, but basically all Tim Burton characters, and yes, she would take care of them, she would love them, she would protect them, she would keep them from harm, and I think that's why I put her at number one. Just because of that. And so I think she represents that sort of guardian, you know, angel for all those who are different. And I think Eva Green does a really, really good job of that. And so that's why I put her as number one. You can disagree all you want, but I have my reasonings. So thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Bye!